Viewers, Nepal is witnessing unprecedented scenes as youth protesters have ousted the government following corruption charge and social media ban. Now, all eyes are set on who will be the next Prime Minister of the violence-hit nation. Currently, Nepal army is controlling law and order in the country. Several protesting groups are in talks with the army to form the next government in Nepal. And on that, we have more breaking news coming in on the news show as the talks are underway between the Gen Z protesting groups and army of Nepal. They are currently holding talks. Gen Z is backing Sushila Karki and Balendra Shah as the next Prime Minister of Nepal. But Kathmandu Mayor Balendra Shah has pitched for Sushila as the next Prime Minister. She is the former Chief Justice of Nepal and now her name is in the front running in the race for the PM in Nepal. Further, Balen appealed to President to protect the historic revolution brought by Gen Zs and please immediately form the interim government and dissolve the parliament so that law and order situation can be maintained in the protest-hit nation. But let's tell you in detail how the demands are being put forth by the Gen Z protesters. What exactly are their demands? Why do they want this revolution in Nepal? The first demand that has been put forth by the Gen Z protesting groups: dissolution of parliament, dissolve the entire parliament, the sitting structure of the government. The next demand of the Gen Z protesters is that a new constitution should be formed as per the terms and conditions of the Gen Z protesters. The next demand that has been put forth by Gen Zs are appoint Sushila Karki or Balendra as the Prime Minister, and currently Balen is backing Sushila Karki as the next Prime Minister for Nepal. The fourth demand is that immediately ex-Prime Minister and Home Minister of Nepal should be arrested. Remember, KP Oli is currently in a safe house in Nepal. Demand 5 of the protesters is that those people who ordered mass killing, opening fire in which at least 19 and now the death toll is at 30, those people who died, who ordered those mass killings, those perpetrators should be punished immediately. The sixth demand that the Gen Zs have put forth to the army is that general elections should be conducted within 6 months in Nepal so that a new government can be formed with elections in this nation and the nation can witness stability and peace. Remember, India has also urged for stability and peace in Nepal. The seventh demand that is there is that the government officials who were in power and were named in those corruption scandals after which that huge protest broke out, their assets should now be probed. There should be an unbiased probe. That's the eighth demand of the protesters. This is unbiased probe of graft scandals, who are involved, how much asset they have, and what will be the punishment. Now let's talk about the constitutional changes that Gen Z protesters are looking forward in this new Nepal that they want to build. First proposal: issue new constitution within 2 months. The current constitution, they want more changes in that. They want a new constitution within 2 months. The second proposal that has been submitted by Gen Zs: declare Nepal as Hindu nation. This is the demand that has come forward by the protesters who toppled KP Oli's government. The third proposal is executive head should be directly elected from now on. The proposal number 4 is that provision preventing MPs to be ministers. They do not want MPs to be now turning into ministers and hence want a provision to restrict MPs from getting that position. The fifth proposal that has been put forth is abolishing the provincial structure that currently is there. They want new structure. Apart from the local level, they want the hierarchy to be dismissed. And the sixth proposal that has been put forth by Gen Zs is that there should be a limitation of how many times the current Prime Minister can extend his term. There should be a limitation that once you have become the Prime Minister of Nepal, you can only do it 2 times. That's it. After 2 terms, the Prime Minister of Nepal has to resign, has to move forward, and somebody else will take charge. The 7th proposal that the Gen Zs want in this new Nepal is that politically influenced appointments should be immediately cancelled. There should be a thorough probe on who was elected and given the chance based on political influence and not merit-based appointments. The proposal number 8 is that the National Assembly should be non-partisan. The 9th demand is that even local bodies should be non-partisan. That's the proposal that they want in the new constitutionally structured elected representatives to take charge after KP Oli government. And the last proposal that has been submitted by the Gen Z protesters is that there should be a restriction on forming party-based groups of journalists, doctors, teachers, and others. No groups, no parties based on such groups. How will this new Nepal look like? The talks are underway between Gen Z protesters and army. What will be the result? Only time will tell. But our team is on the ground, constantly monitoring what is unfolding in Nepal. Take a look at my colleagues Aditya Rajkaul and Sikta Deo reporting from the ground, from the streets of Kathmandu.
There's been hectic parleys that's been underway here in Kathmandu to decide the future course of action and how to restore stability and peace here in Nepal. It's been volatile last 48 hours with clearly 30 people dying and more than 500 people injured. Where I'm standing right now is the Nepal Army headquarters. I'll ask my video journalist, Prem, to pan and show you this headquarters of the Army headquarters. This entire troops of the Nepal Army who are stationed here. We also have, apart from the massive security arrangements here, hectic negotiations underway. The representatives of the 3 groups of the Gen Z protesters who are inside, and apart from that, outside, a lot of public attention, a lot of national and international media attention out here. So a lot of hectic activities have been underway. Earlier this evening, after 5 hours of marathon meeting over Zoom, it was discussed and decided by the 3 groups of the Gen Z protesters that former Chief Justice of Nepal, Sushila Karki, will be their representative, will be their leader to lead the negotiations with the Nepal Army. And now the Nepal Army has also asked the students to make sure that they have representatives to speak with Sushila Karki and the Nepal Army Chief. So as of now, it's been a leaderless protest. As of now, it's been a combined protest of several groups of students, of youth of the country.
नेगोशिएशन अभी कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ है, नेगोशिएशन चल रहा है और हमें पहला संसद भी गठन कराना है, उसके बाद अंतरिम प्रधानमंत्री को नियुक्त कराना है।
कौन कौन से वो नाम है इस वक्त आप लोग के जहन?
हमारे जहन में बालेंद्र शाह जो काठमांडू के मेयर है, हरका सम्पाङ जो धरान के मेयर है, और चीफ जस्टिस पहले की चीफ जस्टिस थी सुशीला कार्की, मैडम सुशीला कार्की, वो 3 नाम हमारे जहन में है।
3 नाम है, सब सहमत है इस नाम से पूरा
ग्रुप सहमत है। मेनली ग्रुप चाह रहा है कि हरका सम्पाङ या बालेंद्र शाह बने। तीसरा नाम भी बहुत लोग चाह रहे हैं, पर मोस्ट ऑफ द लोग का सपोर्ट है यही कि ये आगे का 2 लोग ही बने।
अंदर जाके क्या बातचीत हो रही है?
अंदर बातचीत हो रही, इसी पे डिस्कस, आर्मी चीफ है अंदर, उन्हीं से डिस्कस हो रही है इन तीनों को लेकर कि किसे बनाया जाए। और संसद विघटन सबसे मेन चीज़ है, संसद को डिजॉल्व करना, संघीय जो फेडरल पार्लियामेंट है उसे डिजॉल्व करना।
Now shifting focus to the domestic politics that is erupting after the vice presidential election results were announced. Now, over the alleged charge of several members in the parliamentary elections, cross-voting is now India bloc resorting to name-calling. TMC has gone forward and exactly claimed that several AAP MPs are working for the BJP. This charge has come from Trinamool Congress National General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee, who launched a blistering attack on India bloc ally AAP, claiming that some AAP MPs are working with BJP. However, the Aam Aadmi Party has denied this charge and urged Election Commission to clarify on who exactly cross-voted in vice president polls. Remember, Maharashtra Governor and NDA nominee CP Radhakrishnan was elected the 15th vice president, bagging 452 votes against opposition nominee and former Supreme Court Judge B. Sudarshan Reddy's 300 votes. This has now sparked a political debate, as several of the NDA MPs have also claimed that there were cross-voting even by the India bloc. Listen in to what exactly the political blame game is all about.
खास करके कुछ पार्टी ऐसा है, स्पेशली राज्यसभा में कुछ लोगों को हमको देखने को मिला है, जहाँ पे कुछ लोग हो सकता है उनके पार्टी से चुने गए हो, लेकिन अभी भी एकदम साफ बीजेपी के साथ अलाइंड है। ये तो आप लोगों को देखने को मिला है। आम आदमी पार्टी का एक राज्यसभा मेंबर का एग्जाम्पल मैंने आपको दिया, हो सकता है ऐसे 4-5 मेंबर्स हो। आप जनता के प्रतिनिधियों को खरीद सकते हैं, जो चुन के आए हैं, जो सरकार में बैठे हैं, उनको आप खरीद सकते हो। जो हार के विपक्ष में बैठे हैं, ईडी सीबीआई के डर से उनको खरीद सकते हो, लेकिन जनता को खरीद नहीं सकते।
किसने को वोट किसको डाली, ये तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया को पता है। ज्ञानेंद्र जी प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस भी करते हैं और लंबी लंबी करते हैं। वो एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके क्यों ना बता देते कि किसने किसको वोट डाली है। भाई अगर बीजेपी को भी बताया जा रहा है तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ही बता रहा है ना, या बीजेपी बता दे कि उनको कौन बता रहा है। तो ये स्थिति जो है इलेक्शन कमीशन जो है साफ करे, प्रेस वार्ता करके और लिस्ट निकाल दे वो कि किसने किसको वोट डाली है, तो हमें भी पता चल जाएगा और हम भी मान लेंगे कि जी हाँ जी ये तो आधिकारिक सूत्रों से आ रही है बात।
And my colleague Ishika Verma is also joining me for more details. Ishika, the cross-voting charge has clearly, exposed the cracks within the India bloc, with TMC now going against AAP. There are also source-based informations coming in that several of the, opposition members cross-voted and in favor of NDA nominee.
Well, as you rightly mentioned, Aditi, we have seen that the vice presidential elections are over, but now the entire, focus has shifted to, to the numeric strength with which, CP Radhakrishnan has won this election. Because, in fact, if you look at the numbers, the Sudarshan Reddy, in fact, the opposition claimed already had 315 votes. So now the question is that how did he get 15 less votes? Because, the numbers that had come, he only had 300 votes. Now the oppositions, as you rightly mentioned, we had seen the cracks were already there, but this had brought this, more to the spotlight, because if you see, the opposition parties within themselves have started blaming each other. Today, we saw this fresh attack coming from TMC's Abhishek Banerjee, accusing the Aam Aadmi Party, saying that you already have one Rajya Sabha member who, despite being from the Aam Aadmi Party, is working or rather aligning with the BJP. So there can be 4 to 5 more of, such MPs from that party. While in fact, the Aam Aadmi Party has dismissed all of these allegations and has now asked the Election Commission to come forward and in fact release the list of people who have cross-voted.
Right. Thank you so much, Ishika, for joining us with that quick update. Moving on, a petition has been filed in Supreme Court seeking cancellation of Asia Cup cricket match between India and Pakistan scheduled for September 14. The petition filed in Supreme Court states that organizing a cricket match after the Pahalgam terror attack in which 26 civilians lost their lives and which was clearly sponsored by Pakistan-based terrorists, it is against national interest and undermines the sacrifices of the armed forces and civilians who lost their lives in this attack. Take a look at what my colleague Nupur Dogra had to say about this.
Well, yes, now a PIL has been filed in the Supreme Court by a bunch of law students seeking cancellation of India-Pakistan cricket match scheduled to be held on September 14 as part of the Asia Cup. The petitioners argue that holding a cricket match in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack and the subsequent Operation Sindoor would be in fact against national interest and belittle sacrifices of armed forces. They also contend that playing this match playing cricket with Pakistan at this point would can also hurt the sentiments of those families who have lost their relatives in the Pahalgam terror attack. So this petition has now in fact been filed by a few law students. Now it will be important to see that how the top court reacts to this petition.
Thank you so much, Nupur, for giving us all those details. The Special Investigation Team of Assam Police was probing a case registered with Assam CID, against a Pakistani national who works with the Climate Action Group, CDKN, having links with The Elizabeth Colburn, British wife of Congress MP and Deputy Leader of Opposition Gaurav Gogoi, has completed its probe and submitted its report this evening to Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. The SIT investigation assumed immense significance as Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma had categorically said that it was found that Sheikh has come to India 18 times and SIT has got some initial leads which might lead to facts which will be startling, including possible links with ISI. Meanwhile, Congress has denied such attack and said that where is the proof on these allegations? Take a look at the political reactions.
Suppose in read certain serious issues is there, so immediately it will be processed. Means I have seen the report, nothing is there, I will close it. So first I have to see the report. Before looking at it, if I make some comment, it will be biased. So after that I will read the report. Then after reading the report, if I think it is very serious, I might have to talk to Prime Minister, I might have to talk to Home Minister, or if not serious, then there will be different procedure.
I have already said that Himanta Biswa Sarma thinks that people of Assam are foolish enough to believe his wild allegations. He does not respect the intelligence and the wisdom of the people of Assam. The people of Assam know that he has built a fabricated story based on allegations only to hide the corrupt rule of his government and how he has used the chair of the Chief Minister of Assam to enrich his family and amass huge properties and illegal wealth.
And on that note, we're slipping into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. More news lined up on the other side. And more breaking news coming in now. India calls out Pakistan at the United Nations. Remember, this is not the first time that India has exposed Pakistan and its terror activities on a global platform. But this time, India has taken that dump truck jibe on Pakistan as well. Open name and shaming of Pakistan and its terror proxies at the UN platform. India said, and I quote, dump truck, apt metaphor for Pakistan. And India terms Pakistan as a failed state. Listen in to this reaction coming in of the UN diplomat.
We are compelled once again to address provocations from a country whose own leadership recently likened it to a dump truck. Perhaps an inadvertently apt metaphor for a state that continues to deposit recycled falsehoods and stale propaganda before this distinguished council. Pakistan's systematic abuse of this forum, coupled with its routine manipulation of the OIC as its mouthpiece, has become a familiar pattern. Its pathological fixation on India appears to provide it with existential validation. Pakistan demonstrates the audacity to take the floor today, feigning moral outrage while continuing to finance and shelter the very networks that threaten global security.
And more breaking news coming in. India slams Switzerland as well at the UN platform on the global stage. India says that Switzerland spreading false narratives and Switzerland should focus on own challenges. Remember, Switzerland called on India to protect minorities, after which India has shown the mirror to Switzerland on the global platform. Look at the reaction coming in.
We would also like to respond to the surprising, shallow and ill-informed remarks made by Switzerland, a close friend and partner. As it holds the UNHRC presidency, it is all the more important for Switzerland to avoid wasting the Council's time with narratives that are blatantly false and do not do justice to the reality of India. Instead, it should focus on its own challenges such as racism, systematic discrimination and xenophobia. As the world's largest, most diverse and vibrant democracy, with the civilizational embrace of pluralism, India remains ready to help Switzerland address these concerns. I thank you.
My colleague Ghazali is also joining me for more details. Ghazali, this is not the first time India has openly named and shamed Pakistan, and now even Switzerland has taken this role of lecturing India, but we are clear we do not need lecture from any other country.
Yeah, yet again, India singling out Pakistan and exposing Pakistan on global forum as usual, with their own jibe, which they have termed themselves as dump truck or something of that sort, and India being another comparison between the two. And it has rightly pointed out Sweden as well, for Switzerland, for coming up with this report and a statement that India should take care of its minorities. This has been going on for a very long time. These foreign agencies affiliated with State Department in US and now coming from Switzerland, rightly criticized by India and responded back saying that it doesn't need lectures from any other foreign country.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ghazali, for that quick update. Do stay with us. We have more news coming in.